Yuya was an ugly loser who was bullied by everyone for being fatter than Big Chungus. However, when he unlocks a secret cheat leveling system, he becomes a ripped Giga Chad who destroys monsters and rises up baddies. Ever since Yuya was young, he was bullied by both his classmates and family because he was both the couch and the potato. The only person who didn't treat him like a punch ball was his grandfather, but the old fart eventually kicked the bucket, leaving behind all his assets to Yuya. His greedy parents tried to yoink everything, but when they failed, they disowned him and left him to get milk. Ever since that day, Yuya has been living alone and doing a part-time job to support himself. On the last day of his school year, his bullies decided to say goodbye to him by rearranging his face with their fists. Because of that, Yuya was late to work and was fired on the spot. To make his day even worse, he ran into some gooners who were harassing a girl named Kaori, so Yuya decided to play the main character and asked them to back off. However, the thugs mistook him for a beanbag and sat his sorry bum all across town. After they left, Kaori came to check up on him, but Yuya told her he was used to being treated like trash and dragged his sorry self home. Once there, he headed to the bathroom to clean off his wounds, but couldn't hold his tears back as his life was worse than that of a single mom. In frustration, he punched his mirror and shattered it, which caused a secret door to open. Stepping inside, Yuya saw some weird stuff that you'd find on the dark web and started to wonder if his grandfather was a freak. He then spotted a mysterious door and stepped into it, prompting a status screen that tells him he's in a different world. Suddenly, he realized that his couch potato days were over, as God had granted him a secret leveling system which he could use to lose his fat and virginity. Immediately, he picked up the sword and went to touch some grass in the other world, and once he realized it was safe, he spent the next few minutes swinging all kinds of weapons, which gave him some basic level combat skills. Just as he was putting the weapons in his item box, a monster suddenly attacked him, but the barrier around the house blocked the attack. Yuya then looked up to see that it's a level 300 blood ogre, and there is zero shot a fatty like him can squat up with this ripped beast. Despite this, Bro decided to hit the monster with a spear, and much to his surprise, the ogre fell to his death. Bro was so shocked that his poor legs couldn't carry his weight anymore, but then, he opened his stats screen to see that he's now level 100. Yuya then looted some high-level stuff from the ogre's body and realized he could turn it into cash. After that, he returned to the real world. But while he was asleep, his body started mutating overnight. When he woke up the next day, he had transformed into a ripped Giga Chad, but he couldn't see himself in the mirror as he had shattered it last night. Not thinking much of it, he put on a new uniform and headed back to the isekai world where he found a garden with some useful herbs. When a level 200 slime attacked him, he easily defeated it and collected a rare necklace that would constantly increase his level in the background. For the next few weeks, Yuya continued to train in the isekai world and hunted stronger monsters so he could turn their loot into cash. All the while, he had no idea he had turned from a fatty to a hottie. So when he returned to school for a new year, everyone was eyeing him like he was a celebrity. When he went to his class, his bullies thought he was a new transfer student. But when he said he was Yuya, all the jaws hit the floor. Now confused, Yuya ran to the bathroom and finally saw his face in the mirror, which shocked him. Afterward, his siblings cornered him and asked if he had gotten liposuction in Korea, but Yuya swore he didn't do any such thing. Even then, they told him he was still ugly and stupid, but it was just a way to cope at this point. Just then, a limo stopped by, and Kaori stepped out of it, asking Yuya if he remembered her or not. As Yuya watches her in shock, she reminds him she's the same chick he protected some weeks ago, and it finally clicks him. She says she never got the chance to thank him, so she had his butler look into him and found that he studied here. She then asks him if he'd like to join Uze Academy, and Yuya is shocked because it is a school for the elites only. She reveals she is a member of the student council at Uze, and her dad is the chairman of the board, who wants to repay him by admitting him into the academy. Yuya is grateful for the offer, but his confidence levels are still low, and he believes he can't survive there. Immediately, his siblings jump in and ask if they can be enrolled there instead because they're better than Yuya, but Kaori tells them to scram as she's only indebted to Yuya. She further reveals that she knows about how much they've bullied Yuya, and there's no shot she will let them into her academy. She then turns to Yuya and insists that he join her, but her butler suggests it would be better if they just take him to the academy so he can see for himself. At this, Kaori grabbed his hand and dragged him into her limo, leaving his bullies and siblings in the dust. Soon after, they arrive at Uze Academy, and Yuya is taken to the chairman's office, where he meets Kaori's father, Tsukasa. The man bows to him as a thank you for saving his daughter, but even when Yuya says he didn't do anything, Tsukasa urged him to be proud of himself. He He then asked him to consider joining their academy, promising to cover all of his tuition costs. Yuya is still hesitant, so Tsukasa asks him to spend a day in the academy before he makes a decision. Just then, a hot teacher named Rai enters the office, assuring Tsukasa that she will attend to Yuya for the day and make sure he enjoys his stay. Seeing a 10 out of 10 chick, Yuya agrees to attend her class, so she takes her to the classroom and has him introduce himself to everyone. Immediately, every girl in class is shocked at how handsome he looks, and they start murmuring among themselves until Ray tells them to behave as they're making him uncomfortable. Afterward, Yuya takes his seat in the back, but since he has no textbook, his seat neighbor, Yu-Keen, joins desks with him. He tries to say hi, but when she replies coldly, Yuya falls into despair because even though he looks like prime Brad Pitt, he still has zero riz. As the classes went on, Yuya realized that it was pretty much the same as his previous school, except the students were much more lively. During break time, everyone surrounded him and bombarded him with questions, but a handsome Chad appeared and asked them not to overwhelm the new boy. As everyone left Yuya alone, the guy introduced himself as Ryo and asked Yuya if he'd like to come to the cafeteria with him. Yuya eagerly joined him and was shocked at how good the menu was. After getting food, they join another guy named Shingo, and Yuya immediately fits in with them as he realizes they are also subscribed to an ice call. Just then, he noticed that all the girls were staring at him, but he still didn't understand why. As he talks with the boys, he learns that Ryo is good at sports, while Shingo is a nerdy gamer, and he is surprised at how normal everyone seems. By the evening, he's back in Tsukasa's office, feeling much happier as everyone has been treating him like an equal. Tsukasa then asks him if he'll join, so after some thinking, Yuya agrees to it. After leaving the office, he runs into Kaori again, and she's glad to learn that he has decided to join them. She then asks if he's free, and when he says yes, she takes him to the shopping district, which is a common hangout spot for the students of Aosei. She then reveals that she doesn't have many friends because of his dad's position and her role at the student council, but he's different, so she wanted to make efforts into befriending him. Yuya gets shy at this, so he directs her to an ice cream shop to change the topic. As they try one out, they both enjoy it, but Yuya worries he'll become a fat pig again if he eats too much. He then asks Kaori how she was able to recognize him even though he looks so different, and she says it was from his eyes. Yuya shyly tells her she's too kind, but Kaori pouts and asks why he's acting so formal around her. She tells him to call her by her first name, and Yuya, although shy, agrees to do it, which makes her happy. In excitement, she shares her ice cream with him, but when she notices that Yuya is shy, she apologizes for being so forward. To make it even, Yuya asks him to try out his ice cream too, and while they're at it, everyone around them dubs them a cute couple. That night, Yuya returns home and puts on some cool armor that's straight out of the Elden Ring world. He then steps into the isekai world and starts hunting monsters until he's level 235. He then realizes there's a deep, dark forest right next to his house, which piques his curiosity. Just then, he hears a man scream and runs into the forest, only to see several dead soldiers. He also spots a gobbling general who is about to yeet a girl to the afterlife, so he rushes towards the general and kicks him in the face. He thinks he's won, but the general gets back up and attacks him, so this time, Yuya uses various weapons and finishes it off for good. Afterward, he rushes to the girl to make sure she's okay, but she passes out before she can say anything. As he tries to help her, some knights show up for her, so Yuya uses the invisibility spell to get out of there. While he's pressing his shirt, he realizes that he is no longer broke, so he thinks of buying new clothes. Soon after, he heads to the mall, where he notices that everyone is turning their heads for him, which makes him anxious as he still doesn't know girls want to taste his sausage. Meanwhile, in a nearby store, a photographer named Hikaru is losing his mind because the model he hired hasn't shown up on time. With no other option, Hikaru decides to grab someone from the mall as a replacement. At that time, Yuya is checking out some shirts when some girls corner him and joke that he should check out theirs instead. Yuya realizes that great PP comes with great responsibility, so he politely tells them off. As he takes the escalator, he wonders if he handled the girls well, not knowing that they are still frozen in time with how charming he was. Just then, Hikaru sets his eyes on Yuya and instantly approaches him. Minutes later, Yuya is part of her shoot along with another hot model named Miyu. While taking pictures, Yuya gets shy as he's never been this close to a woman, so Miyu assures him that she won't bite, which makes him blush even harder. As he's staring at her melons,
Wow! Beautiful!
Hikaru takes note of this and tells Miyu to link arms with Yuya. This causes Yuya to bust in his pants, but Hikaru takes it a step further by asking Miyu to wrap her arms around him. While Yuya is fighting for his life, Lexia, the woman he saved in the Isekai world, wakes up in her castle. Since she does not recognize Yuya, she decides to go back to the forest to find him. Her knights tell her it's dangerous. She reminds them she's a princess, and she must express her gratitude to her savior. Back in the mall, everyone stops whatever they are doing to watch Yuya, who sits there awkwardly after the shoot is finished. Miyu apologizes for getting him involved in all of this, but the guy is so nervous that he chokes on juice, which makes Miyu laugh. She offers him her gooning towel to wipe himself, but bro anxiously tells her he's fine, as he doesn't want to slurp her juices instead. He then praises her for being so good at her job, but Miyu says she's just used to it, adding that she was really bad when she first started. Looking at his model clothes, Yuya recalls how he never dressed up because he looked like an overgrown potato, and those who would model would seem like aliens to him. However, now he knows they are humans too, and they work really hard to be how they are. He asks Miyu when she started working as a model, and she reveals it was long ago. She adds that since her parents were always busy, she wanted to be seen, and her only options were this or OnlyFans. Eventually, people started to recognize her, and she now has a loyal fan base, which makes her really happy. She wants to inspire others to pursue their goals too, and it would make her delighted if she could help someone. She also tells Yuya to enjoy every moment to the fullest, and Yuya takes her word to heart. After that, he acts very naturally around her, and while they share laughter, Hikaru uses this chance to click some fine pictures. Just then, a twink blonde enters the scene and starts acting like he owns the place, so when Yuya asks Miyu who this fool is, she tells him he's Sho, the guy who was originally hired for the shoot. Immediately, he asks Miyu if she'd like to have drinks with him afterward, but when she says no, he pins him against the wall and tries working his riz on her. Seeing her being uncomfortable, Yuya intervenes and tells the guy to back off, but Sho gets annoyed and swings at him. Without thinking, Yuya casually grabs his arm and smacks him to the ground, and he realizes only afterwards that all that training has made him really strong. He starts to worry that he'll get in trouble for putting his hands on a model, but in contrast, everyone at the mall starts to cheer for him. As Sho gets back up, Hikaru tells him they've got the whole thing recorded, and if he tries to disrupt them again, he will file harassment charges against him on Miyu's behalf. Sho immediately runs off from there, and Miyu thanks Yuya for being her knight in shining armor, adding that Sho has been stalking her for weeks. At this, Hikaru promises to tell his superiors and make sure Sho never gets a job again. He then asks Yuya if he'd like to sign an exclusive work contract with them, and although grateful, Yuya politely says no, as he's got a lot on his plate already. Respecting his feelings, Hikaru decides to let him go, but not before paying him with many branded shirts. After sending him off with best wishes, Hikaru and Miyu head back, and Miyu is intrigued by Yuya, admitting she'd love to work with him again. Hikaru notices that she's blushing and teases her for having a crush on Yuya, but she gets annoyed and denies it. Meanwhile, Yuya heads back to the isekai world, where Princess Lexia and her knights are struggling to fight against goblins. Yuya arrives at the last second and defeats them easily, leaving all of them in shock, except for Lexia, who knew he'd come to save her again. Once he's done with the goblins, she slowly approaches him before excitedly asking if he'd like to marry her, leaving him in shock. Her royal guard, Owen, asks if she's lost her mind, but she simply says she's proposing to her love. Owen tells her she couldn't have picked a worse spot as they're surrounded by a pile of dead bodies, and besides, she knows nothing about Yuya except for the fact that he saved her life. At this, she tells Owen to stop nagging, but as they argue like siblings, Yuya says it's not safe here, and they should come to his cabin, which shocks Owen because who in their right mind would live in such a place. Soon after, they arrive at his humble abode, where Lexia officially introduces herself as the princess of the kingdom of Arcelia and formally thanks him for saving her. Yuya gets anxious because he's been treating a princess like a side chick, but Owen tells him it's fine, as he didn't know. After Yuya introduces himself, Lexia starts murmuring to Owen that his name is very uncommon, and he might be a noble of a different country. However, Owen is worried Yuya might be a spy from another country, but it seems highly unlikely. He adds that they were, in fact, looking for him because Lexia wanted to meet the man who saved her. Just then, Lexia jumps in and pins him against the wall, admitting that her kitty was meowing when he rescued her, and now she wants him to pet it every day. Yuya politely tells her that it's too soon for him to marry anyone, but Lexia has read too many rom-com novels and believes this is just an obstacle she must overcome in order to have him. She suggests they start as friends, and given how Bro had no social life in the past, he happily agrees to it. After they shake hands, Owen tells Yuya that the king also wishes to see him, but it'll take 5 days to travel from here. Since Golden Week is coming up, Yuya asks for some time before he meets the king, and Owen agrees to his request. After that, they head back to the capital, where a masked man learns that Lexia's assassination attempt has failed because someone has eliminated all the monsters. Despite being furious, he takes off his mask to reveal a burnt face and vows to get back at her for what she has done to him. The next day, Yuya is in the real world, heading to Usei Academy for his first day, when everyone stops to look at the handsome Chad. Once he arrives, Tsukasa personally welcomes him before he heads to class, where Rei officially introduces him. Later, as they play football, not soccer, Rio turns into Lionel Messi and dribbles past everyone before scoring a fancy goal. As Yuya watches in awe, he notices a redhead, Big Milker's mommy, standing next to him, and she asks why he's not playing as well. Yuya says his gym clothes have not arrived, so she sits beside him and introduces herself as Kai-Day. As the football match continues, Rio finds himself surrounded by defenders, so he passes the ball to another teammate. The guy eagerly shot at the goal, but he missed, and the ball was headed on a crash course with Kai-Day's face. Noticing this, Yuya quickly reacted and kicked the ball so hard that it was in the back of the net before anyone could even blink. After that, Yuya checked up on Kai-Day, who was already feeling moist from his manly display. The guy who shot the ball came running in and begged for forgiveness, but Kai-Day assured her she was fine. At this, the guy introduced himself as Akira and thanked Yuya for saving both Kai-Day and him. He also adds that everyone calls him the young noble of the academy, but when Rio says no one has ever called him that, Yuya and Kai-Day begin laughing. Afterward, as the girls are drooling over Yuya in the changing room, Kaori walks in, and Kai-Day eagerly tells her how Yuya heroically saved her. As the other girls start to wonder if Yuya has a girlfriend, Kaori and Kai-Day simultaneously say that he's single, making Kaori realize she now has competition. Later, while Yuya is talking in class, he notices some bikers barging into the school grounds and harassing students. His classmates reveal they're red ogres, the most dangerous delinquents in the area, and Yuya sees that they're joined by Araki, the same guy who bullied him in his previous school. He then notices that Kaori is telling them to leave, and his siblings are among the delinquents, who have orchestrated this thing to get back at Kaori for humiliating them. Kaori tells them to leave as the police will be here soon, but the gang plans to abduct her and do unholy things to her. Hearing this, Yuya decides to intervene, but her legs give out as he is still traumatized from the bullying he received for years. As Kai-Day comes to check up on him, Yuya smacks himself in the face and snaps out of his fears. He then jumps out of the window, landing like a superhero, which shocks his friends. When he approaches Araki, the guy sends his goons after Yuya, but he dodges all of them and heads straight for Kaori. However, he's stopped by a guy named Omori, who looks like Akuma's off-brand cousin who bulked on burgers. Omori challenges him to a battle of strength, but when he dashes at Yuya, Ro stops the fatso with one hand before pulling back and letting the guy crash into his bike. After that, all the gooner back off as Yuya casually walks up to Kaori to make sure she's not hurt. Seeing this, the leader of the gang races towards Yuya, but Yuya easily dodges the guy and makes him crash into his bike. Soon after, the police arrive to arrest everyone, and while Yuya checks up on Kaori, she says she knew he'd save her. Suddenly, she starts to feel dizzy, so Yuya quickly catches her before she falls, making her blush. Meanwhile, Yuya's brother Yuta calls the red ogres useless, but the head grabs him by the throat, as he was the one who led them into getting arrested. His sister begs the head to let go, but he sends her flying into the kitchen before choking Yuta even harder. Finally, Yuya steps in and tells him to let go, but when Araki doesn't listen, he sends him back with a slight push. Enraged, Araki tries to attack Yuya, but Yuya shows him bombastic side eye, and the man freezes in place. Afterward, Yuta is in shock as to why Yuya saved him, even though he was treated like trash, and Yuya says he'll never abandon his family. At this, both of his siblings fall to their knees and start crying as they beg for Yuya's forgiveness. Later, Yuya apologizes to his friends for this mess, but they tell him that he was super cool, and this makes him happy. A few days later, as Yuya heads to the isekai world, he recalls Owen telling him that the forest he lives in houses some of the most dangerous monsters, which are capable of destroying an entire city. Since Yuya is able to defeat them with ease, Ro finally realizes that he has become an overpowered raid boss. He then heads deeper into the forest to find stronger monsters, but even then, he manages fine. Just when he's about to leave, he hears a young pup calling for help, so Yuya scouts and realizes it's being attacked by a level 600 King Orc, which is the highest he's seen so far. Telling himself that he's not strong enough, Yuya turns to walk away, but when he realizes that it will make him a wuss, he pulls out his spear and hurls it toward the orc. He then charges it down with his sword, only to be shocked when he sees that the orc has already died from his spear attack. Yuya is confused because he shouldn't be able to defeat monsters stronger than him, so he begins to wonder if the weapons themselves have some special power. Regardless, he turns his attention to the scared pup and decides to give it a healing potion. However, the poor guy collapses from pain, so Yuya uses a spell to heal it. Immediately, the little pup becomes infatuated with Yuya, so he decides to keep it as a pet. He then sees that the pup is actually level 500, and seeing his jet black fur, he chooses to call him Knight. Later, as they head home, Yuya grooms Knight while also wondering how he's able to beat monsters stronger than him. The next day, he heads to school and asks his friends about a nearby pet shop, telling them that he took in a dog yesterday. Kaede goes up in his face and asks to see the dog in his pants instead. But when he tells her she's too close, she gets shy and backs off. Yuya then says he can't send pictures because he does not have a phone, which surprises Ryo and Shingo. As for the pet shops, they tell him there's a place in the shopping district, but they won't be able to join him because they both have plans. Kaede listens to them curiously and then chimes in, telling Yuya that she's free to accompany him if he wants. When Yuya says yes, she gets excited and asks if this counts as a date, only to say that she was just joking. After classes, Yuya heads to the pet store with her, and they end up buying a collar and some other essentials. When he returns home, he puts the collar on Knight, and it happily accepts it. Afterward, Yuya and Knight go for a walk, and every girl that sees him wishes he'd dog walk her instead. Just then, he runs into Kaori, who is happy to see Knight and starts petting it. She then asks Yuya what breed his dog is, but Yuya says he has no idea because he adopted him from the streets. As they are talking, Yuya hears someone calling his name and looks back to see Mui, the model with whom he had a photo shoot. She reveals she lives nearby and always comes here for walks. So to break the ice, Yuya introduces Miyu and Kaori to each other. Since Yuya is surrounded by two hot chicks, everyone in the park wonders if he's packing 11 inches. Ignoring them, Miyu asks Yuya if he'd come here again, and when he says yes, she responds that she will look forward to seeing him. Kaori quietly listens to the whole conversation, and her heart shatters when she realizes Yuya and Miyu have chemistry. After Miyu leaves, she asks if he is going out with her, and Yuya frantically says no, adding that he's not good enough for her. However, Miyu quickly says it's not true because she holds him in high regard, but she gets embarrassed at this. Just then, they see a thug running off with a woman's purse, so Yuya sends Knight to fetch the guy. He then goes to check on the old lady, who is still worried about her bag. Yuya tells her to relax, saying the burglar won't get far, and soon after, Knight returns, dragging the goon through the mud. As Kairo calls the police, the burglar tries to stab her with a knife, but Yuya easily grabs him and pins him to the ground. As everyone applauds for him, Kaori tells him he was so cool and thanks him for saving her life again. Later that day, he returns to the forest with Knight, going even deeper and slaying super strong monsters with the little pup. After a while, he runs into a crystal deer, which is level 630, even higher than the king orc. Yuya is certain it'll fight with magic, so he hides behind a tree, wondering what he can do to avoid any damage. That's when he realizes that the deer can see him even through his invisibility spell, which leaves him with no time to plan. As the deer walks towards him, Yuya takes the initiative and tells Knight to keep the deer busy while he flanks it. However, the deer is too strong, and their plan does not work the first time. Yuya then decides to switch the roles, so as the deer is targeting him with strong spells, Knight swoops in and slashes the deer, allowing Yuya to finish it off. Afterward, he loots the corpse to find some gems along with a strange cube. Upon inspection, he learns that it's a portable bathhouse, so after making sure it works, he returns to his cabin and uses it to relax under the stars. The next day, he goes deeper into the forest and fights a needler roller that manages to cut his face with its high speed. Thus, Yuya locks in and lures it into a wall, which allows him to finish it off. He then sees that both he and Knight have leveled up and gained new skills, so he suggests they head home for now. Just then, the wall in front breaks to reveal a cave, so Yuya decides to explore it. Inside, he finds the corpse of a man and a book of the sage. When he reads the contents of the book, he realizes that it belonged to the previous owner of the cabin he's living in. Inside the book, the sage says that he had become an overpowered Giga Chad and was even invited to the realm of the gods, but he told them to scram. Eventually, the people around him started fearing him because of his power, and he was left all alone. Thus, he locked himself in a cave where he withered away, wishing that no one suffers like he did. Reading this, Yuya asks himself what he can do to make sure others don't fear him, and he hears a voice telling him to form meaningful relationships. At first, he thinks he's imagining it, but as he keeps reading the pages, the sage's voice continues to converse with him. At the end of the book, the reader is asked to wish for one thing, and Yuya wishes to know magic. Thus, the sage pours everything he knows about magic into the book, but he also tells Yuya that he can't use magic since he's not from this world. However, the sage grants him the ability to cast spells, after which he wishes Yuya a life full of happiness and tells him to leave. With that, Yuya brings the book home and starts studying about magic and how to use it. Following the guide, he channels his inner energy and acquires a skill called magic energy manipulation, which essentially turns him into a mage. Heading outside, he imagines a water ball, and it materializes around his hand. He then realizes that Knight can cast magic too, so they both shoot a water ball at trees and Yuya is shocked to see holes in the trunks. Meanwhile, Owen gets an audience with the king, who wants to know more about Yuya. While telling him the whole encounter, Owen also blurts out that Lexia proposed to Yuya, and this makes the king so mad that he starts throwing things around like your drunk dad. The next day in class, Yuya is still thinking of ways to use magic when Ray announces an off-campus study week with groups of 4. Yuya ends up in the same group as Kaide, Akira, and another baddie named Rin, and Kaide is really excited to spend more time with Yuya. However, when Yuya says he needs to go shopping, Kaide offers to help him. She then gathers the whole squad, including Kaori, who is also excited to spend time with him. Ryo and Shingo are shocked to learn that Yuya rizzed up the chairman's daughter too, and tell him to leave some for them. Yuya then notices that the self-proclaimed noble hasn't come, so Shingo reveals he had other plans. With that, they head inside, where they pick a travel bag for Yuya, along with some other essentials. Once they're done, they decide to have some fun by heading to the arcade, and Shingo immediately taps into his otaku degenerate mode after seeing his waifu's action figure in a crane game. Seeing this, Yuya uses his skills to manipulate the crane and pull it out, impressing everyone. Kaide then asks him to get a plushie for her too, and Yuya once again gets it on the first try. Seeing this, everyone asks him to play for them, and he ends up winning all of them some cool prizes. Afterward, Ryo suggests they head to a cafe, but Rin tells the boys to go ahead as the girls have to make out in the bathroom. As they leave, the boys grab some drinks, and Yuya is really happy because he never thought he'd make any friends. Just then, the fire alarm goes off, and everyone is told to evacuate the building. However, the girls are stuck on the upper floors, so when Yuya gets a call from Kaide asking for help, he doesn't think twice and runs up. When he locates the source of the fire, he desperately imagines water surrounding his body and uses it to run through the fire. The girls are all knocked out due to the smoke at this point, so when Yuya locates them, he has to carry them out of there. However, not only is he doubtful about his magic, but the exit has also been blocked, and now he's running in circles in the fire with no way out. In desperation, he uses magic to carve a hole in the wall and jumps from the 13th floor with the girls, landing safely outside, where he gets scolded by the boys for being reckless. Soon after, Tsukasa arrives to make sure Kaori is okay, and learns that Yuya saved his daughter once again. Afterward, Yuya heads home, sad that everyone has a loving family except him. However, when he steps into the house, Knight excitedly greets him, and Yuya realizes this cute little pup is all he needs. Meanwhile, in the isekai world, a mysterious girl is fighting with a talking bunny, and even when she bombards the bunny with magical arrows, Lowbro keeps dodging. They stop briefly to talk, and the girl invited him to join her cause in destroying the world before disappearing. At this, the rabbit is left worried as the girl possesses the power of the divine archer, so he decides to pass on his techniques as the deity of kicks. The next day, Yuya uses his magic to visualize the place he wants to go, and a teleportation gate appears before him. Excited, he steps inside with Knight and locates some goblins, which he slays with his sword. After yoinking their jewels, Yuya steps outside the cave and tells Knight that it's time to return home. However, Knight suddenly ran off, so Yuya chased after him. Suddenly, Knight signals him to hide himself, so Yuya uses invisibility magic and sees a purple-haired girl cornered by a bunch of orcs. Seeing that she's hurt, Yuya decides to help, but Knight begs him not to, leaving him confused. Just then, an orc charges at the girl, and she slices it up in an instant, which impresses Yuya. However, 3 more orcs charge at her, and she is unable to hold on her own. After she's knocked out, Yuya and Knight step in to protect her, only to realize that they've walked into an ambush as hundreds of goblins are waiting to pounce on them. With no other options, Yuya uses a weapon called Divine Whip, and within seconds, the entire army of goblins is destroyed, making him realize this weapon is too overpowered. Afterward, he carries the unconscious girl in his arms and suggests they bring her home, but for some reason, Knight is against the idea. Just then, the girl wakes up and wiggles her arms, causing her to drop from his arms. Yuya then offers her a healing potion, but she turns him down, only to change her mind and drink it. As her wounds heal, she introduces herself as Luna, but all this time, Knight keeps growling at her. Yuya asks why she's here, and she lies that she was training when she got ambushed by a goblin elite pack. When Yuya says he defeated them, she thanks her for rescuing her and asks why he is in the forest. Yuya says he is also training, and quietly whispers who in their right mind would train here. Afterward, she apologizes for the trouble she's caused and asks Yuya if he knows a place where she can bathe. Immediately, Yuya introduces her to his portable bath, which he got from defeating the crystal deer. Realizing he's super strong, she asks him if he'd like to train with her. adding that she has a reason why she has to stay here, and she'd prefer if she's with a digbig macho man. When Yuya agrees, she excitedly peeks out of the curtain to thank him, which makes him nervous. For the next few days, Luna and Yuya go into the forest to hunt monsters and train, until, eventually, Luna is strong enough to defeat goblin elites with ease. She says it's all thanks to Yuya, but Yuya reminds her she was already very efficient with her threads the first time he saw her. She still says she needs to get stronger, but Yuya tells her he won't be able to train her from tomorrow because of his off-campus study thing. Despite not knowing what it means, Luna wishes him the best of luck and thanks him for training her. That night, while Yuya is chilling in the bath, he wonders why Luna let him use it first, since she usually goes before him. Just then, Luna appears in a towel and says it's because she wanted to join him.
Nice.
Yuya gets nervous and tries to leave, but she hugs him from the back and thanks him again because she became stronger thanks to him. She further says that she will treasure every day spent with him and even offers to wash his back, but Yuya turns around and tells her that her towel has fallen off. The next day, Yuya is headed to his off-campus study when his friends notice that he appears tired. Yuya tells them he didn't get any sleep last night, and it's all thanks to Luna and her peaches. After falling asleep on the bus, he is woken hours later by Rin once they arrive at their destination. The students then head to the hall, where Ray explains how things will work, including that they'll have to procure their own food from the forest. Kaede asks what if someone eats a poisonous mushroom, and Ray tells her not to worry, as all food must pass through her and their school doctor, Yomikawa, first. Yomikawa turns out to be a female Orochimaru, and everyone is instantly creeped out by her. When students protest the food thing, Ray tells them to take it seriously, as there's a competition between classes. Yuya asks what they will get if they win, but Ray says they will get nothing, but she will get a fat check if they win. Annoyed, Ray tells the class to get this over with so they can come back to the facility, but Ray tells them that only teachers are allowed in the building, and the students must camp outside. Soon after, they're each given basic survival stuff, so Kaede and Yuya team up to catch fish while Rin and Akira handle other things. A few minutes later, they arrive at the fishing spot and see that every good spot is already taken. Kaede thinks they should give up, but Yuya says silent fool and uses magic to locate a good fishing spot away from everyone. However, the water is too shallow for a fishing pole, so Yuya steps in and uses what he has learned from Luna to predict the fish's movement. He then catches them with his hands, and within minutes, he has a bucket full of fish. Meanwhile, Luna returns to her hideout, still grateful to Yuya for the training. She wishes she had met him sooner, but now it's too late as she's already an assassin, and she plans to continue hunting his targets. Meanwhile, Yuya returns to the camp with a bucket full of fish, and Rin is shocked to learn he caught them with his hands. Yuya then notices that Akira is touching grass with his face, and when he asks what's up, Akira goes on a rant about how Rin made him work overtime to gather mushrooms. On top of that, he claims Rin made him test all mushrooms to see which ones were poisonous, and when a bear showed up, she used him as a decoy to run away. Now worried, Yuya uses an appraisal to check his health, and Akira appears to be completely fine, which makes him believe Akira was just being dramatic. Afterward, Yuya secretly inspects everything they had gathered and removes a mushroom that is poisonous. He then asks who'd cook, but none of them had the skills, so they take the ingredients to Ray for inspection. There, he runs into Kaori and decides to chat for a bit before she dumps him for her group mates. Akira then approaches him and asks when he got so close to Kaori, wishing that he were close to the princess too. When Yuya asks why he's calling her the princess, Rin explains that Kaori is the chairman's daughter, and the way she carries herself is nothing short of a princess. Afterward, they show the ingredients to Ray, who tells them everything is good, and this brings her a step closer to that fat bonus. She says their cooking will be graded as well, and asks who among them can cook, so they all point to Yuya. Later, Yuya cooks away like Gordon Ramsay on an average Tuesday, while everyone else serves as moral support. Once he's done, he asks his squad mates to taste it, but as they take a bite, they all fall silent. When Ray arrives to grate it, she also falls silent, and then they all scream that it's delicious in unison. As they keep eating, the compliments keep pouring from their mouths, and Yuya finally realizes why he got so fat. After the food is finished, Ray says it was the best meal she's ever had and asks Yuya to marry him so he can cook for her during the day, and she'll offer him bedtime desserts in return.
Damn good deal.
Everyone else is shocked at this and reminds Ray that it's immoral for a teacher to date a student, but Ray doesn't listen and continues riz him up. At this, Kaede speaks up, telling Ray that Yuya has a small pee-pee, mainly because she wants him all to herself. Even then, Ray says technique matters more than size, but Yuya politely tells her that it can't happen. He also adds that she's a great teacher, but this makes her so happy that she buries his face between her jugs. At this, Kaede begins pulling Yuya back, while the other teachers wonder if they need to call the police. That night, Yuya teleports back home, and Knight immediately jumps into his arms. As he brings food to the little guy, he notes how much he enjoys making others happy. He then returns to the camp for bath time, and notices that every guy is staring at him. When he asks Akira why, Akira tells him it's because he's built like a prime Bruce Lee. Over on the girl's side, Rin can't resist squeezing the juice out of Kaide's watermelons, and when Kaori and Yukin arrive, she asks them to make Rin stop. However, they are slightly jealous of the sheer size of Kaide's bazookas, so they let Rin fondle away. Rin then says Kaede is even juicier than Miss Ray, also telling the girls that Ray proposed to Yuya earlier. At this, Kaede says she'll have to up her game, while Yukina and Kaori begin to wonder if Yuya likes his melons big. The next day, Yuya learns that someone ruined their ingredients, so Rin suggests they gather more from the forest. Just then, they notice Akira looking all scared and ask him to join them. He quickly runs to them, but he doesn't tell them that he discovered a bear's footprint near camp. Later in the forest, Yuya notices him staring at claw marks on a tree, and it finally hits him that Akira was not lying about seeing a bear earlier. Just then, the bear starts chasing their group, so they run to the camp where the teachers are already guiding the students on how to avoid getting eaten. As Miss Ray guides them to safety, she herself becomes a target for the bear, and it seems as if she's going to meet God. Luckily, Yuya steps in and grabs the bear by its waist before taking it to Suplex City. As everyone watches in shock, Ray calmly gets up and thanks him for saving her life. She then asks him if he'd like some sloppy toppy as a reward, and he politely says no.
Come on, man.
But Ray says she'll up her game next time. Afterward, they wonder what to do with the bear, but when Dr. Yomikawa arrives with a strange vial in her hand, the teacher tells her to scram. Just then, Kaori arrives and reveals that the government has allowed them to use this bear as a guard dog. Kaede asks what they will do if the bear attacks them again, and Kaori casually says they'll turn it into a delicious dinner if the need arises. Hearing this makes the bear sweat, and he behaves until the end of the trip. A few days later, Yuya is back in the isekai world, fighting some goblin elites using an overpowered hammer he found in the sage's cabin. He then notices that one elite dropped its helm as a loot drop, and while he inspects it, the deity of kicks watches him from a tree. Soon after, Owen and Lexia arrive to pick him up, and they fail to recognize him because of his helmet. After he takes it off, Owen asks him if he's ready to meet the king, and once he says yes, they all salute while Lexia officially invites him to the royal palace. Just then, Knight mysteriously pounces on Lexia and pushes her down, right before a tree falls behind her. At first, the guards think Knight attacked her, but when Yuya finds sharp threads around the tree, he realizes that it was an assassination attempt on the princess, and Knight just saved her. Yuya then asks Knight to take her to the assassin, and within minutes, Yuya tracks them down. He then knocks them out with ease, causing their mask to fall off and reveal that it's actually Luna. Just then, Lexia catches up and asks if he knows this girl, and Yuya has no choice but to admit to it. Even then, he carries her in his arms, telling Lexia that he needs to hear Luna's side because he cannot imagine her being a bad person. Trusting his judgment, Lexia allows him to leave, and when Owen and the guards show up, she excitedly tells them she's going to Yuya's cabin. Immediately, Yuya and Lexia run away from Owen, and Lexia says she's curious to know why she was attacked. At this, Yuya opens a portal to his cabin and takes her there, leaving Owen and the guards behind. After he places Luna on the bed, Luna asks him how they are even here, and Yuya casually says he used teleportation magic. At this, Lexia gets annoyed because teleportation magic is the stuff of legends, which only exists in fairy tales. She believes that if the world were to know about this, the whole order would be disrupted, and countries would go to war to obtain this magic. She then orders Yuya never to use this magic in front of others, and Yuya promises to be careful. She then turns to Luna and tells her to stop pretending to sleep, so Luna opens her eyes and is impressed that she noticed. Lexia says both she and Yuya noticed it, but in reality, Yuya had no idea she was up. Lexia then approaches Luna and says she's curious to know more about her, but Luna finds it pointless and tells her to just execute her already. Yuya chimes in, saying he is also curious to know why she tried to yeet the princess. At this, she takes them back to the time she was an orphan who would search through garbage cans for food. As time passed, she became a thief, but when she was caught, an intimidating man took her in and taught her how to read and write. He also taught her how to fight, and through his techniques, she came to know that the man was a professional assassin, belonging to a faction called the Dark Guild. Like him, Luna also joined the Dark Guild, and after carrying out several missions effectively, she earned the title of Headhunter. Lexia is shocked at this, because the Headhunter is famous even in the capital, and Yuya realizes at that moment that Knight knew from the beginning. Luna continues, revealing that she got an assignment to take down the princess of the Arcelia Kingdom, but now that she has failed, she is ready to meet her execution. Even if they let her go, the Dark Guild will send men after her, so either way, she is destined to die. She then tells Yuya not to worry about her, as they only knew each other for a short time, but Yuya says that time was very precious to him. Even then, Luna believes it's too late for her, but Lexia offers Luna a position as her personal guard, which shocks her. Lexia adds that only she and Yuya know about the assassination attempt, and they can easily subdue this issue. On top of that, serving at the princess's guard might just save her from the Dark Guild, but Luna believes she does not deserve this position because her hands are covered in blood. However, Lexia grabs her hands and says they're beautiful and soft, but Luna says that's because of Yuya's bath before pulling back. At this, Lexia gets pissed and steps on the bed, telling her that she lost her right to oppose her when she failed the assassination, which means she is obliged to do what she's being told. Finally, Luna accepts her position, so Lexia demands to know more about Yuya's bath. Luna tells her Yuya possesses a portable bath that restores stamina and increases one's beauty, so Lexia angrily says that she wants to use it too. She then drags Luna with her and winks at Yuya to join them, but Bro says not today. Later that day, the girls are relaxing in the bath when Lexia asks Luna if she's in love with Yuya, which causes her to panic. She immediately denies it, so Lexia tells her she plans to marry Yuya to tease her. Finally, Luna admits that she feels something about Yuya, so Lexia says she won't back down and challenges her to see who can woo Yuya. Luna accepts this challenge, after which, return to the cabin to cool off. When Yuya asks what they will have for dinner, Lexia jumps in and says she'll cook, but she is so bad at swinging a knife that even a potato can dodge her. Thus, Yuya ends up cooking for them, and after they taste the food, Lexia latches onto him to tell him it tastes amazing. Seeing this, Luna gets jealous, so she asks Yuya to feed her as her wounds still haven't healed. Yuya agrees to do it, so Luna gives Lexia a smirk to show that she's not backing down. Now jealous, Lexia asks Yuya to feed her too, and Yuya wonders where in life he went wrong to be surrounded by these idiots. After sleeping at the cabin for the night, the three of them head into the forest, where they run into Owen, who is delighted to see that Lexia is safe. He then turns to Yuya to ask who this little pup is, and Yuya says it's his friend Knight. After he notices Luna in the back, Lexia tells him she's the girl who tried to eat her, but now she's working as a royal guard. Owen and his men immediately surround her, but when Yuya and Lexia explain what happened, Owen still refuses because it's too dangerous. At this, Lexia tells her that if Luna wanted to off her, she would have done it already as they slept together in the same bed. When Owen hears this, he concludes that Luna might just be clear, so he asks his men to lower their weapons. Afterward, Yuya tells them he cannot come to the palace as he has some business to attend to, and Owen nervously tells him it's fine, while Lexia is sad about it. Owen then shows him a road that leads to the palace, and asks him to come whenever he has time. After that, Lexia leaves on her carriage, and Luna joins them on her horse, but not before running back to kiss Yuya. Lexia is shocked at this and asks Owen to stop the carriage so she can get even, but Owen ignores her yapping. Meanwhile, Yuya makes himself an open-air bath, and he sees that the pig has joined him too. He uses an appraisal to see that its level is 490, so he decides to keep it as a pet and names it Akatsuki. Knight then reminds him that it's time for school, so Yuya rushes back to the other world and barely makes it to class in time. There, Ray announces a ball game competition, which once again will earn her a big fat bonus if his class wins. During gym class, the class is split into two groups for a football match, and Yuya plays as the goalkeeper because he doesn't know the rules yet. As the match starts, Rio starts scoring goals like Prime Messi, so Rin starts playing with Kai Day's jugs to cheer the boys on. However, the boys get distracted by the show, and this allows Akira from the other team to sneak in a run towards their goal. He even takes a nice curving shot, but Yuya reacts instantly and catches the ball, leaving everyone in shock. Rio then tells him to throw the ball as hard as he can, so Yuya throws as hard as he can, and the ball is in the opponent's net before they can even blink. After that, as Yuya is heading home, he is approached by a scout named Kurosawa and a magazine director who asks her to join her firm, but Yuya politely declines. The director is shocked at this, and even Yuya's friends ask him to reconsider, but he says he's enjoying his school life and doesn't want any big change at the moment. The director then starts complaining to Kurosawa, as she cannot comprehend the fact that someone said no to her. Just then, Miyu approaches them, and Rio and Shingo are shocked to see such a beauty in person. They ask Yuya if he knows her, so the scout shows them a picture of Yuya and Miyu on their magazine cover. Miyu then apologizes for how the director acted, but she doesn't care and wants Yuya to work for her no matter what. Just then, the ball competition's flyer lands at her feet, and she realizes that she can just take pictures of Yuya if she gets permission from the chairman to cover the event. That night, Yuya returns to the Isekai world and slays a strong skeleton monster with Akatsuki and Knight's help. but he also admits that he needs to get better at combining his magic and physical attacks. Not satisfied with today's progress, he goes deeper into the forest where the air feels thicker. He asks his pets to stay on guard, but just then, he looks up to see a mithril board that flings him into a tree trunk. Yuya is absolutely gobsmacked by the impact, and even when he tries to use a healing potion, the board does not let him. Just as he thinks it's time to meet God, he hears a voice followed by something bright that knocks the boar out in an instant. The bright thing turns out to be the Usagi, deity of kicks, and before Yuya can even comprehend, the boar charges at Usagi again. This time, the rabbit looks at and utters the word vanish, which creates a shockwave so strong it turns the boar into confetti. Afterward, Usagi sits on a truck like it owns the forest and demands that they show them their best kicks. Akatsuki proudly goes first, hoping to impress Usagi, but he only manages to make a fool out of himself. When night tries, Usagi sees potential in his form and asks Yuya to go next. When Yuya kicks, Usagi smiles and admits that he might have some talent for it. Usagi then demonstrates a light kick that punches a hole in not one, not two, but 3 tree trunks, which shocks Yuya. Usagi tells Yuya to try it as well, and Yuya trains for a bit and finally manages to take down 1 tree with a single kick. Immediately, Usagi challenges him to a duel and starts kicking at him, and after training for the entire night, Yuya gets the hang of it. Later, he asks Usagi why he is training them, and the rabbit reveals he's decided to make Yuya his successor. He then explains that there are some special beings in this world called the Divine, and each of them is a master of one field. Their job is to protect this world from the evil things called Vile, but the balance of the world is tipping against them, and they need more allies. He then asks Yuya if he's ready to become one of the Divine, but Yuya says he's not, though he still wants to protect his loved ones. At this, Usagi agrees to train him, but as compensation, he wants Yuya to teach him magic. He admits that the barrier around his house is quite impressive, and only a true master of magic can cast a spell like that. Thus, they both agreed to be each other's masters, and their training begins. Usagi trains Yuya by making him face a king mithril board, which is much stronger than the boar that almost sent him to God. At the start, Yuya struggles even to hold his ground, but when Usagi tells him he'll be fighting Vile much stronger than this, Yuya locks in and uses a combination of different weapons to defeat it. As he celebrates his win with his pets, Usagi smirks as he'll make him use kicks only next time. Later, while inspecting the loot, he learns that it dropped SS ranked items, but Usagi tells him that some Vile will drop SSS and even EX ranked items. Lastly, some will drop L ranked items, and L stands for legendary, and because of that, such Vile are impossible to defeat in a 1v1. Just then, Yuya gets a prompt that he's evolving, and his body begins to glow as Usagi tells him he's become much stronger than before. After Yuya notices that he's gained several new skills, Usagi suggests they rest for the day before skipping in the air and leaving. The next day at school, Yuya has to play ping pong with the national champion, and all the cameras are on him. Apparently, the guy has never lost a point, let alone a game, and he shows Yuya his skills by scoring the first point on serve. However, Yuya has faced stronger opponents, so when he's served the next time, he returns it so strongly that it carves a hole in the table. Yuya then withdraws from the match and heads outside to catch his breath, relieved that he didn't injure anyone. Just then, Kaede drags him to the volleyball court as they are 1 member short, and when the director learns of this, she also drags her cameraman there. At the court, Yuya smacks the ball so hard that it explodes and even destroys the net, which causes the other team to withdraw. Later, as Yuya is suffering from success, he notices that a tennis player from their class has been injured, and Kaori asks Yuya to take his place. Yuya reluctantly joins her, and when Kaori almost hits him with her serve, Yuya realizes she's the one who injured her own teammate. As the match continues, Kaori takes matters into his own hands and makes sure Kaori doesn't even get to play. However, when the ball flies up, Kaori thinks it's her time to shine, so she swings her racket and almost hits the spectators. Luckily, Yuya manages to serve the ball and win the match, and as he lands, Kaori stumbles into his arms, which allows the director to take some nice pictures. That evening, as Yuya leaves school, he runs into Kaori, who wishes to walk home with him. On the way, she says she'll treat him to anything he wants. But when Yuya says he's happy to just spend time with him, she tells him to close his eyes and kisses him on the cheek. Meanwhile, Usagi has a run-in with the mysterious girl from before, and she is impressed that he can now use magic. When Usagi tells him it's thanks to his master, Yuya, the girl sets her eyes on eliminating Yuya first. A few days later, the director is looking at the pictures of Yuya and Kaori, proud of how well they've come out. She also believes that other agencies will approach Yuya once this magazine is published, but she already has a plan that will ensure Yuya joins their firm. Meanwhile, Kaori notices that Yuya is a bit down, and Yuya says it's because he's bad at maths and might fail the upcoming test. Realizing that even this Superman has his kryptonite, she shyly offers to tutor him in hopes of getting backshots. The next day, Kaori is at Yuya's place to tutor him, and that's when she meets Knight and Akatsuki. While she helps him with maths, Yuya agrees to help her with literature because he's good at those things thanks to his language comprehension skills. She then leaves to use the restroom, and Yuya is nervous, as this is the first time he's had a girl over. Rightfully so, because that idiot forgot to hide the isekai door in his bathroom. And now Kaori is standing in front of wondering what in the Stranger Things is going on here. Yuya soon arrives and tells her it leads to another world, which shocks her. He then asks her to poke her hand through, and her hand is blocked by the barrier, which only allows those he permits. When she asks more about said world, he reveals it consists of magic and monsters, and even creates a water ball to prove it. He also tells her he's gained some superhuman abilities too, and that's why he was able to dog-walk the delinquents who tried to kidnap her. He adds that he is able to save them from fire thanks to these inhumane skills, and then asks Kaori if she'd like to visit this other world. Kaori gladly takes his hand, and they walk through the barrier, shocking Kaori at everything she sees. Yuya then reveals that both Knight and Akatsuki are also from this world, which surprises her even more. Just then, a status screen appears before her, and Yuya sees that she is a level 1 with basic stats except for her luck, which is very high. He then tells her that his stats were even lower than hers when he first came here, and back then, he was a couch potato. Thanks to this world, he became ripped and strong, so he basically cheated his way to fame. Ignoring his sob story, Kaori wishes to see more of the world, but he tells her there are dangerous monsters in the forest. Since it's not safe, Kaori asks him to show her this world some other day, and when he says sure, she makes him pinky promise. He then asks her not to tell anyone about this world, and she promises to keep it zipped. Considering he told her his biggest secret, she asks if they have a special relationship, but before he can even answer, she gets nervous and says never mind. After that, Yuya suggests they head back, and Kaori is content with the fact that she grew closer to Yuya today. Meanwhile, Lexia finally returns to the capital and meets her dad, who demands to know why Yuya is not with them. Owen tells her that there were some unforeseen circumstances, prompting the king to ask who Luna is. Luna herself says she tried to assassinate the princess, but Yuya came and stopped her. The king questions why she is still alive after failing her mission, so Luna reveals she actually wished to die. Before she can finish, the king sentences her to death and swings his sword, but Luna aura-farms by not even flinching. The old man is impressed because Luna knows the sword cuts through anyone who tries to stop it. That's why she stopped the king's hands instead. Lexia then tells the old man that she hates him for attacking Luna, revealing that she deliberately made her a guard. Even though the king is surprised, he trusts Lexia's judgment and lets Luna be her guard. Afterward, he admits that hearing that Lexia hates him broke his heart, but he gets over it quickly and asks Owen about Luna. Owen reveals she's the infamous headhunter at the Dark Guild, but Yuya defeated her and then took both her and Lexia to his cabin in the forest. Hearing that her daughter was in a man's house, the king loses his cool and vows to stick his blade up Yuya's nether for stealing her daughter's V card. Meanwhile, the masked man who hired Luna learns of everything that happened, and he believes his father, the king, has grown weak. This only excites him because his path to the throne has gotten easier, so he gives his informant a magic sealing barrier that will trap the king within and stop him from using magic. He then asks them to assassinate the king, Owen, Lexia, and Luna, and if they fail, they are advised to blame Yuya, who's visiting the palace soon. A few days later, Yuya gets a break from school and heads to the nearest town, where he sees humans and beastfolk coexisting peacefully. He then goes to a merchant to sell some spices, and the merchant is so impressed by the glass containers that he assumes Yuya is a high noble in disguise. He then inspects the spices and declares that they're of the highest quality, so he offers 100 gold coins for the whole pack. When Yuya asks how much that is, the merchant tells him he can pretty much live his entire life without working a single day with that much money. He also hands Yuya a guild card, which serves as identification. That night, he takes a carriage to the capital, and once he gets there, he is impressed at the size of the palace, which towers over the entire city. Heading there, he is received by Owen, who immediately takes him to the king. But Yuya is nervous because he's dressed in his school uniform. Immediately, the king loses his cool and accuses him of diddling his daughter, until Owen tells him to calm down. The king then tells him it's rude to visit the king without any gifts, so Yuya pulls out an item called paradise bedding, which he got from hunting wild sheep. Immediately, the whole room starts murmuring, and the king approaches Yuya with the intent to chop off his coconuts. Owen stops the king, explaining that Yuya does not understand their culture. At this, Lexia shyly explains that giving bedding to a woman means you want to explore her chamber of secrets. As Yuya realizes he messed up, the king swears to punish him, but they're suddenly ambushed by the assassins sent by the prince. The clockmen then activate the magic sealing barrier, but Yuya immediately takes action and takes down the entire squad alone. Lexia jumps into his arms to thank him, and while Luna tries to separate her from Yuya, the king gives the poor boy a death stare, which makes him nervous. However, Lexia steps in and scolds the old man for treating Yuya poorly, causing him to back off. Owen then finds a badge on the assassin and shows it to the king, who recognizes it as his son Rhaegar's crest. At this, Owen asks Yuya to lend them his strength as their kingdom is in grave danger. He also asks Yuya to be Lexia's guard, so later she asks him if he'd like a tour of the capital. Luna argues that it's not safe since Rhaegar has his eyes set on assassinating her, but Lexia believes she'd be fine as long as Yuya protects her. She also adds that Yuya wishes to see the capital, so Luna volunteers for the task, telling Lexia to stay back. This starts an argument between the two, so they both end up going out while Owen guards them from a distance. Meanwhile, Yuya gets pinched between both thirsty chicks, and as they walk around town, he stops by the Adventurers Guild and shows interest in registering. Luna offers to take him in as she wants to register too, but Lexia gets jealous thinking it'll give Luna more time to spend with Yuya. Inside, as Yuya is handed a registration form, he asks the receptionist if he needs to register his pets as well, but she tells him only humans need to register. While looking at the form, he realizes there are categories of magic, and he's probably the only one who can use all kinds of magic. He decides to mark 3 types only, and is then asked to place his hand on a crystal for evaluation of his magical prowess. Immediately, the ball shatters and catches the attention of everyone in the academy, leaving them in shock. He asks if he needs to pay for the ball, but the receptionist tells him it's fine. He then hands her the registration form, and she is shocked to see that he can use 3 different types of magic. When Yuya asks if it's a big deal, she says, using 3 types of basically the stuff of legends. She then creates guild cards for both Yuya and Luna, telling them that they will start at F rank since they're new. She then explains how the quest system works, and after that, the squad sits together to have lunch. After that, they head to the quest board to look for their first mission, and suddenly, a mommy with juicy milkers approaches Yuya with the intent to taste his sausage. Keeping both Lexia and Luna at arm's length, she says she is impressed at how he destroyed that crystal earlier, and now she wants him to destroy the bed with her. Seeing that both girls are getting annoyed, she lets go and introduces herself as Kalena, hoping that Yuya would take on some quests with her too. After she leaves, Yuya and the girls take on a quest to collect medicinal herbs, and Yuya harvests them using his discernment skill. As he continues collecting herbs, Akatsuki points at a pink flower, but it turns out to be extremely poisonous, and Yuya grabs it anyway. Just then, Owen reveals that Rhaegar has been located, and they immediately ride to his place while Luna takes Lexia to the castle. As soon as they enter, Rhaegar flatlines a guard and holds another hostage, but Yuya tells Knight to attack and quickly foils his plans. In desperation, Rhaegar tries to make a run for it, but he's surrounded by all 4 sides, causing him to lose his mind and hold a knife to his own neck. He claims no one would bat an eye if he were to die, and seeing the tears in his eyes, Yuya reacts quickly and smacks him to the point that he's face planted on the floor. Owen then tells Rhaegar that it's over before turning to Yuya and thanking him for the help. Just then, a strong wind blows into the room, and the silver-haired girl reveals herself. Noticing Rhaegar's situation, she tells him his plan has failed, also revealing that she wanted to use him as a pawn to start wars and destroy humanity. Rhaegar realizes he has been tricked, so the girl decides to send him to God. When Owen tries to stop her, an arrow comes toward him from the outside, and even Yuya thinks someone is accompanying this girl. However, as he brings more arrows to the mix, she explains that she's all by herself. She then tries to yeet all of them, but Yuya uses wind magic to protect them from the arrows. At this, she asks him if he's Yuya, and once he confirms it, she says she has consumed too much of her mana already and would come back to fight him with the power of Vile once she recovers. After she leaves, Yuya wonders who this girl was, not knowing that she is even stronger than Usagi. After a while, they all return to the palace and wait for an update. Owen then enters the room and invites Yuya to be a part of the conversation that involves deciding Rhaegar's fate. Yuya agrees and heads to the throne room, where Rhaegar is stripped of his mask and shirt, revealing some Maki-level wounds on his body. Rhaegar notices Lexia looking away and blames her for what happened to him, revealing that she once lost control of her magic and did this to him. He admits that the original wounds were healed, but exposure to Lexia's magic drove him insane, and he had to hurt himself over and over again to subdue the pain. Rhaegar then blames the king for abandoning him and locking him up, which is why he grew to hate him, and decided to flatline both him and Lexia. Now that his plans have failed, Rhaegar no longer wishes to live and asks them to execute him. Seeing this, Yuya asks permission to try something with Rhaegar, and then pulls out a healing potion from his item box. When he makes Rhaegar drink it, all of his wounds disappear, much to everyone's shock. Yuya casually reveals that he made this potion from a cure-all herb, but then he realizes that such an item is considered legendary. The king cannot believe Yuya used up such a precious item for his son's sake, but even though Rhaegar is now looks maxing, he still believes he'll be sentenced to death. Hearing this, Lexia chooses to grant him a royal pardon for trying to yeet her, but the king argues that Rhaegar is still affiliated with the Dark Guild. Lexia tells the old man that it's his own fault for allowing a crime syndicate to run under his command and demands that he drop all charges against her brother. In the end, the king is peer-pressured into forgiving Rhaegar, and when Lexia wishes to befriend him, Bro starts sobbing. In the end, they wanted to reward Yuya, so both Lexia and Luna offered in their kitties. However, Rhaegar suggested that all of his lands be given to Yuya instead, and the king agrees to this proposition. He also grants Yuya the title of Lord Knight, which overwhelms him so much that he returns to his chambers and sleeps like a dog. However, he has a dream about fighting that silver-haired woman and suddenly wakes up out of breath. The next day after school, Ryo and Shingo invite Yuya to hang out, but he runs off without saying anything. In the halls, he passes by Kaori, who tries to talk to him, but when he does not stop, it leaves her worried. Dashing back home, he recalls Rhaegar telling him that the girl in question is super strong, as well as Usagi telling him about Vile. Immediately, he returns to the isekai world to train, because he knows he's not strong enough to fight her. Suddenly, he senses an attack coming and quickly dodges it, only to hear the girl's voice, who is impressed by his evasion. She tells him he's a threat to her plan for revenge, and not knowing enough, Yuya decides to fight her then and there. Within seconds, he realizes that he messed up, right as Kaori rings his doorbell to check up on him. When he doesn't respond, she goes into the isekai world and hears a loud noise coming from the forest. It's coming from the girl dog walking Yuya with her godly arrows, who asks if he's done something to the girl that warrants revenge. She says he doesn't need to know before continuing her attack, but with the help of Night, Yuya manages to evade her and land a nasty strike. Now impressed, she decides to go all out on Yuya, and as the man dodges her arrows, he hears this dumb bitch in Kaori calling his name. Since she's in the crossfire, Yuya has to jump in front to protect her, but this leaves him in a vulnerable position. As the girl shoots a deadly arrow at Yuya, Usagi suddenly returns and protects him. He then addresses the girl as UT, asking if she is the successor of the divine archer who was slain. UT confirms this, vowing to avenge her master by destroying this world. She adds that her master protected humans all his life, only to be betrayed and flatlined by them in return. At this, Usagi tells her that it's Divine's duty to protect this world from the Vile, and using Divine skills in a similar fashion, as the Vile is an unforgivable crime. Yuti does not give two forks as she never inherited the title of Divine, and proceeds to attack both of them simultaneously. Even together, they find it difficult to face her until Night catches her off guard and allows them to land a hit on her. Even then, Yuti continues to look down on humans and calls them worthless trash, but Usagi tells her it's not up to them to decide anyone's worth. Fueled by revenge, Yuti vows to bring humanity to justice and starts emitting a powerful aura. Usagi reveals that it's the power of Vile, and Yuti has now become a Vile god. She then attacks Usagi head-on, and while the bunny fights her, Yuya can't even stand at the sheer force of her aura. Eventually, Usagi is unable to keep up and crashes into the forest, so Akatsuki runs after him and casts a healing barrier that quickly takes away Yuti's Vile energy. Left in shock, Yuti loses her guard and is knocked out by Yuya. Usagi then reveals that there are beings in this world that rival Divines in strength, and Akatsuki is one of them. He then leaves UT in Yuya's care, telling him that she won't be able to use her Vile powers anymore thanks to Akatsuki. After he leaves, UT opens her eyes, and Yuya kindly asks her what her master was like. She tells him he was kind and full of love before passing out again. Afterward, Kaori comes out but is immediately attacked by a monster, so Yuya quickly produces a weapon and throws it at the monster, leaving Kaori in shock. He then places UT down and tells Kaori that this is an average Tuesday for him, but she's too stunned to even speak. He then asks if she sees him as a monster, but she tells him that the only thing monstrous about him is his 1-1-inch sausage. The next day, he introduces Kaori to Lexia and Luna, who immediately grow to like her and become friends. Soon after, Yuya's siblings visit him to fix their relationship, and Yuya happily accepts them. Meanwhile, Yuti comes to the real world and becomes a transfer student at the Uzai Academy. In the end, Kaori sees Yuya casually chatting with his classmates, and she's happy to see that he turned his life around. That's it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more, watch this video on screen.